My name's Jason Ehler. I'm the father of a missing child, Dylan Ehler. He went missing May 6th, 2020. The day I found out I was going to be a dad, it was one of the best feelings that you could ever have. Dylan was born Easter morning at around 7 a.m. It was a wonderful feeling. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Dylan growing up, amazing child. You would never forget his smile, that's for sure. Very outgoing, always doing things that would make your heart thump. Not scared of much of anything. He's a wonderful child.
Dylan was 3 years old when he went missing. He was with his mom. Ashley had dropped him off at the grandmother's, Dorothy, at around 10:30 that morning. I do believe that she gave him a kiss and told the grandmother, if you bring the puppy outside, to put Dylan's harness on. They made a joke about it. Dylan and the pup would have a harness. So it was pretty normal for the grandmother to take Dylan every now and again. Ashley dropped Dylan off at around 10:30. Dorothy was going to go outside with Dylan and the puppy. It was around 1 o'clock. They went outside. She had Dylan in one hand and the puppy on a leash in the other hand. They walked down to the bottom of the stairs. There was a lead out there for the dog, so apparently Dylan was a foot to 2 feet away from the grandmother. She turned around to tie the dog, and then she turned back and Dylan had vanished. And there's been no evidence ever since. The way I discovered my son going missing, me and my mom just decided to go pick him up. Around 3 o'clock, I showed up at Dorothy's, and the cops were already there. There was one police officer, female. I get out of the car, I walked into it, I said, "What's going on?" The cop said, "Your son went missing," and I hit the ground. It's a blur after that. I remember bits and pieces, but the shock kicked in real fast. I showed up 3 hours after my son went missing. Dylan went missing around 1:15 p.m. And by the time I got there, K9 was just getting there. So it took K9 almost 2 hours or more to show up to the scene. When I showed up, search and rescue wasn't there yet, and it had already been almost 3 hours at that point. I was confused why no one was looking for him. I just remember family members showing up, everybody being supportive, trying to find Dylan, being 3 years old. It was overwhelming. The shock is crazy. It's hard to explain. You're in and out. I remember after the community supporting and search and rescue, the next day we had a visit with Chief, and he had a picture of boots. Ashley had identified them as being Dylan's boots. One boot was found that night at 7:30, May 6, 2020, in the evening, and the second one around 8 or 9. And it took probably 7.5 hours for them to find his boots. That's when things got serious and emotions went high and you're just scared. I remember that night, I stayed up all night. I searched for a little bit until I was made to go home. I stared out the window right till morning. The not knowing is crazy. The worst feeling you can possibly have. It's like you lose your child in a mall for just a split second. You imagine that for hours and hours and hours, and now 2.5 years. And that feeling doesn't change. You're always wondering. It's tough all the way around. We didn't get proper support from the police. Search for Dylan, they just called it off. We had to find our own cadaver dog. A lot of things weren't done proper in Dylan's investigation and search. When Dylan went missing, there was a mass shooting that happened in Nova Scotia, Canada's biggest mass shooting, and Dylan went missing 2 weeks after that. It was already chaos in the town. 22 people dying around you from a mass shooting to a little boy going missing right after. It was a lot to handle for the community. It's been me and my tiny search, I call them search family. I've made good friends with people that never met Dylan, and they still, after over a year, they still come out and search. I search almost every day. I search every weekend. For 2.5 years now, I haven't stopped. This has affected my life in every way possible. Not only did our son go missing, we dealt with one of Canada's biggest cyberbullying, to the point where we had to use the cyberbullying legislation that was only used once in Canada. Thousands of people destroying you, saying you killed your son. I've had 8 ransoms altogether where people would call and say they're going to kill my child if I didn't give them a X amount of money. People message me and say, "I know where your son's at." And it's sad because the only thing that they're hurting is, they're obviously hurting us, but they're hurting him. You know, who wants to go and search for a little boy if they're worried about someone hacking them or someone harassing them? Or, you know, it's a whole different level of cyberbullying that we've dealt with. It's changed my life in every way. For me to go get a job with all the rumors, there's a group of people that still follow today, and if they find out where I'm working or if they stalk you and they destroy you in any way possible, and that still happens today. You know, I've had a 6-month conversation with somebody I thought I knew, and it wasn't them, and they were hacked. At the same time, I don't even know what's real and what's not. I talked to a friend one day, and they needed help. I drove from Moncton to Truro, which is 2 hours away, for the cops to be standing there waiting for me because somebody had called in this fake nonsense, and it just goes on and on. It's disgusting. Right now, there's a lot going on. We're making a documentary movie for Dylan. We're kind of on our own for finding him. Resources don't get back to us. I haven't spoke to my lead investigator in over a year because they refused to because of the hearing coming up, which took 2 years. So I haven't talked to anybody in 2 years. It's confusing and angering and overwhelming. I don't want people to give up. Keep an eye out for Dylan. All we can do is support and spread awareness, spread his missing poster around. Most importantly, for Nova Scotia, we're supposed to be Nova Scotia strong, so I think we can be a little more stronger for the youngest child to ever disappear without a trace in Nova Scotia. If it was your child that went missing, would you want to give up? Would you just want to stop? I want people to support. He's 3 years old. If you know, I want people to show up on his searches. That's one of the most important things. I go out if someone needs help looking for a missing dog or, you know, animals or a missing person. I join Wings of Mercy. I'll look for another person. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I have a missing child, and I think anyone with a missing child would want the help. He might not have went into a brook or a river, but we can't count that out. So, you know, in our situation, he either drowned or somebody took him. That's all we know. We need your help. Dylan would be 5 years old now. He would be turning 6 April 16th. He also has a right eye that is half blue, half hazel. If you're watching this, and if you don't have anything to do, and you live in Nova Scotia, if you can spare some time to look for a 3-year-old child, we'd awfully be grateful. Just follow me on Facebook. That's where I share most of my search events, and it's the best way to get in contact with me. We need a community to bring a child home. If anyone's interested in helping or want to learn about Dylan's disappearance, you can go onto my YouTube channel, D.E.D, with a blue heart and a green heart. You can learn about his investigation and stuff like that, and what we've done, how much we've fought. But most of all, jump on and share his poster on Facebook. If you're out there and you see children, please take a second look. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for letting me tell my story. Let's bring Dylan home.